Today we're at the Lure Lab talking with Pete from Elmer Hinckley Fishing Tackle, a company that's been handcrafting fishing spoons in New York since 1877. If you love fishing history, handmade tackle, or the Finger Lakes, this is a really fascinating story. Hey everybody, Captain Ken here with Let's Catch Fish. We happen to be up here in Westchester County at the shop of the Elmer Hinckley Company, which is pretty cool. We've got Pete here, who is been doing all the manufacturing for these awesome flutter spoons.
I acquired the tooling probably about 4 or 5 years ago. These started up in the Finger Lakes, right in Naples, New York, probably known for, Sutton spoons. But Elmer Hinckley and Scott Sutton were part of the same fishing club, and they sort of, tried to outdo each other with their spoons. So I was lucky enough to sort of acquire all the tooling. The process it's not highly automated. You can see I have a small footprint of the shop. This is a kick press, right? So we kind of kick it down. We do have some industrial dies that we could put in here. And so what we do is we kind of run the material through, and it's all manual, right? I'll punch down and kind of keep going, and that's what blanks the spoons. After we blank them, they basically come out flat, right? Punch the holes and the logo and the numbers, right? Each number represents a size of the spoon. A lot of them were common, like this is a 0.6, very common up in the Finger Lakes. There were dozens of spoon makers that made this. And then we have these forming dies in here. And what that does is it's got a signature Hinckley bend in it, and you just pump it down, and now it puts that bend in it, right? So that little bend, sometimes I gotta give it a little tweak. I mean, these are really old, so it's not a highly automated process, but that's it. Now it's ready to be plated. You can fish it like this if you want.
How old is this machine?
This is, gosh, the story I got from Caroline Meisel, it was her dad's, she was married to Charlie Meisel, who was Elmer Hinckley's great grandson. So I'd say it's from the 30s, 40s, something like that, maybe a little older. But I have a metal shear here. Unfortunately, it's covered with stuff that actually I cut the material to length. That's from the 20s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's and it still works fine. So that's how we kind of put that bend in it.
Which gives it the action.
And yeah. So in order to put the hammer pattern in it, we have this tool. So this tool was probably made in the 60s, 70s, maybe. And Charlie, who was, again, Elmer Hinckley's great grandson, and his wife Caroline came up with this. So we just have to put a little buffer on it, and we just roll it through. And now we've got that hammer pattern. Wow. You could adjust the depth and the thickness that you want, but what we found is that lighter pattern seems to reflect light the best, right? So if we look at that, and then when it's plated, right, and this is plated in silver, right, pure silver, it really reflects the light. So some guys like to fish them smooth, and some guys like the hammered. Then from here, we'll go and form it. So a lot of manual work, right? Nothing's highly automated. Well, these are newer, right? So this is newer, right? I just had this plated, so that's newer. But if you want to talk about old spoons and collectors, these are all hand cut. They're wrapped in tissue paper and labeled, right? So here's some that are kind of tarnished. These were hand cut in Troy, New York. These were hand cut by Elmer Hinckley's granddaughter and her husband when they were making the spoons.
So they kept it on from down
Naples,
there,
yeah.
Then they went to Troy.
Yep, so from Naples, right, Elmer Hinckley had it in Naples till 1916. His daughter took it over, and then her daughter took it over, and then Charlie, who was, sort of the last Hinckley family member to have it. All these other ones are kind of straight brass. These date back to Naples. These are all hand cut. Okay, you think the press that I have is is a manual process. They were hand cutting them. So if you look up here, These are all of the styles. This is sort of my chart now, but they had over 50 styles that they were hand cutting. They hand cut all of them. So a lot of these numbers are similar again between spoon makers. Some of them are unique. But I picked this up along the way of sort of a retail stand, if you will, and every single spoon on here was hand cut.
That's 1877.
Yep. And you can see Mary Beisel, and that's Elmer Hinckley's granddaughter. She was in Troy, and then Charlie, right? He took it out to Minnesota out there, and that's kind of why it lost favor a little bit in New York, is because when they moved to Minnesota, it was kind of forgotten about.
It was a whole new world that they didn't have a connection with.
Yep. So this was kind of, a priceless gem that I came across. A spoon like this, big .6, is .013. It's a little thicker than that. Working on Lake Ontario, right, where a standard thin spring brass flutter spoon is going to get mangled, where these actually hold up pretty well. It's a pretty simple process when you really think about what we're doing.
But when you shape it, it's what gives it its strength.
Yes.
And that is what I think is cool, because when you first feel it, you're like, man, a fish could mangle this, but when you look at a lot of spoons for trolling, there's the shaping of it, I guess, like a golf ball.
Yeah.
It's just how water reacts to the dimples.
Yeah.
And then, it ultimately helps, that, and then obviously the shaping.
And not only that,
helps the action.
Now, the bend definitely does, but the plating. So what we do versus a lot of, what was done back in the day is they just plated silver right over the brass, right? It's a brass, core in there. But we're plating with nickel first, which is giving it more rigidity.
Oh yeah, that's a very different.
And then plating it either with silver, 24 karat gold, or copper, right? And each has its use, so you can feel like how much stiffer it is because of that.
Right.
What we can do then is, when people want like a two-tone, is this one is gold, right? So this is 24 karat gold. There was 24 karat gold on that side, and I buffed it off to kind of give a two-tone, which again creates a different shimmer in the water. We don't paint them, right? They're traditional to how they've always been. They still work to this day,
So if people want to go and tape them, they can do all that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always amazed at pictures I get from guys like taping them, and I'm like, that's my spoon. Wow, what they've done to it is
totally
amazing.
Changes the
oh
look.
Yeah, and everybody has their thing of what they believe,
right?
Is going to make that little bit of a difference.
Mm-hmm. So fishermen they like to customize, all their stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it really cool. So this, when you ran this through and you created all these, that's the same.
Correct.
At this point, but because it was coated, it brought that out even more so.
Right. So it doesn't look like much in the brass, but when you plate it, you could really see the effect of that. And that's nickel, right? Which people mistake for silver sometimes, because the quality that we're doing it's considered jewelry quality, the plating, and that gives it a shimmer. Whereas here's the true silver. You could obviously see a difference, but because you have them next to each other. But sometimes if you don't, people mistake this for silver as well, because it's really pretty shiny and reflective. I do have a website. It's elmerhinckley.com. There's some fun stories there about the history, so you could learn a lot more about it. It is a very old company, if you will, right? But it's always been done out of somebody's home, right? They used to cut spoons around the kitchen table back then. Everybody would pitch in and cut.
It was a family thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really
So
cool.
Yeah, and I just had to keep it going, right? When I had the opportunity to acquire the tooling, I sort of jumped on it, to kind of resurrect it. I had no idea what I was getting into. I'm not a machinist, and
there was
by trade,
something cool caught you.
Yeah, like I couldn't see this history just going away. The fun thing is about that is when somebody actually just calls me and says, I was in my granddad's tackle box and I saw these spoons and I went to look them up. Is that spoon the same spoon? And I'm like, yeah, it's the same spoon.
Isn't
and they
that
were like,
crazy?
I remember, you know, being a kid that he always had his little secret. And what a lot of guys do with some of these spoons is, here, we'll take one of these. They're stiff, but not too stiff. So what some guys do is they put a little bend in it. They could bend it either way. And it gives it a little more action. Like I'll find some on eBay and I'll buy them, and I see these bends and I'm like, obviously somebody did that because it worked. You know?
No, it's good.
And,
every little thing changes the action.
Yeah, so it's been interesting to hear what everybody's doing with them.
Pete, thank you for inviting us into your shop. This has been really pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
where
fun.
all the magic happens.
Yeah, what's great is, like I said, when I get those calls after it goes out the door and people are like, they work, and I'm like, I know they do.
They do. They've been working for well over 100 years.
Yeah, almost 150. Next year will be 150.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ken, thanks for stopping by.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.